As a new Amazon seller, it can be really difficult to source your first profitable product, and sometimes even more difficult to navigate the world of figuring out what the heck you're even allowed to sell on the platform. So let's jump into the computer here to break down the first and easiest type, which are auto ungated products. You'll notice when I go to Seller Central, add products, and then try to list this product on Amazon, it loaded for a second and then immediately allows me to sell this item. And those auto ungate products are going to be what we're focused on sourcing today. I'm going to show you exactly how to source products like that. But we also still need to talk about the three other types of products because it's super important as well. And the next type of restriction on Amazon is a product that is simply gated. So for example, if I punch in DeWalt and then try to apply to sell this product, you'll notice that when I request approval right here, all it's going to ask me to submit is an invoice or a receipt for this actual product. When I'm sourcing products for my store, I always consider these products to be another opportunity for me. Auto ungates are super easy. To get products ungated, we'll just submit the invoicing from wherever we're sourcing those items from. For example, if we wanted to sell DeWalt tools, I could just go source something from Lowe's, download that order confirmation that they email me, and then submit that off to Amazon and get approved to sell it right there. Now, the reason why this isn't quite as fun as auto ungates is because it's very typical to have to submit multiple times for an ungate submission, and that can obviously take some time. So if you're a brand new Amazon seller, selling those auto ungates is typically how I see lots of people hit $5,000 or $10,000 months right away. And then in the background, they're working on these ungating applications. And now the two other types of products you need to be aware of, because you cannot sell these on Amazon, are going to be restricted products or hard gated products is how you might hear people talk about it. For example, if I punch in Converse, no one's been able to list these products on Amazon for a couple years now in terms of new third-party sellers. So if you ever punch in a brand and it says copy listing, that means that you cannot list on this listing. You have to make your own new listing. It wouldn't be brand registered properly, all that good stuff. So avoid products that say copy listing if you go and try to add them in on Seller Central. Another thing that'll make this easy, by the way, before we start sourcing and break down that fourth type, is on SellerAmp. This is the tool you use to source inventory. In this eligible box, it'll tell you if you're allowed to sell this product or not. And then if it says no, you can always double check, go to Amazon and see if it is one of these where we can apply, or if it's one of these hard gated products. Or sometimes you might also run into items that have a transparency application. So what these are basically like custom little barcodes that the brand has decided to put on this specific product. In this case, I assume this ASIN, they were dealing with some counterfeit issues or something like that. And so what they're going to do is they're going to put one of these labels on the packaging. Sometimes they add it after the fact. Sometimes they will print these on all of the items. So sometimes you can actually sell these products. What you'd have to do is just buy one and see if it has this little barcode on it. If it does, then you can list some of those on Amazon. But if it doesn't, then you'll have to avoid that product. But now that you know the distinction there, let's go ahead and start actually sourcing some of these products. And I'm going to start by using an example of an auto ungated brand, which is And1. So if you go to your seller account and plug in And1, 99% chance you'll get auto approved to sell this brand. And by the way, if you want a whole big list of other brands that you can test and see if you can get auto ungated to sell, I'll leave a link for this down below. It's about 1,800 brands. The list is completely free, by the way. And diving back into this example, we're going to be able to use one example of an auto ungated product to source a ton of other auto ungated products. And we'll probably find a product, maybe even a couple here in the next 10 to 15 minutes sourcing some products together. So let's just go ahead and jump in. Mostly interested in seeing what other types of sellers are on these products. So this is a good example. I'm going to put myself in the shoes of a brand new Amazon seller. That's probably what you are if you're worried about auto ungated sourcing. And what I'm interested in this guy is you can see how he only has 3 feedback. That tells me that there's a good chance that the other items in this storefront are either going to be brands that new sellers can apply to ungate pretty easily, or will just straight up be auto ungated. After selling 6 million bucks on Amazon myself, I know a lot of which will be auto ungated and which won't. So I'll try to skip a lot of the ones that will not be auto ungates. For example, it seems like this person sells a lot of Carter's, which is a clothing brand that you can definitely get ungated, but it is a gated brand. You'll have to get an invoice. So let's focus on one of these that is an auto ungated brand, And1, for example, because what I'm looking for as I start to dive into these storefronts is to figure out if I can buy this item for this max cost option, right? If you've watched any of my videos, you've probably seen me do this before. Super important. It's how you fundamentally source every product that you want to sell. But the main thing I'm looking for on this listing is to see, all right, I need to buy this for 13 bucks to be profitable. When I Google it, it looks like the initial price results are coming up at 26 over there. It seems like Walmart's probably going to be our best bet. I see several different options from Walmart and they're all like 17 bucks or so. So we can definitely work with that. Buying these for 17, selling these for 30. Obviously, I'm not super interested in losing 33 cents a unit, but what we can do is we can check the other tool that we'll need for sourcing inventory, which is Keepa. So Keepa and SellerAmp, that's what you need for sourcing products. And we can use Keepa to do some more advanced things like diving into variations and all that. So let's actually see if we can find some profit based on this. Because what I'm looking for is to see, all right, this particular size and color isn't profitable. It's only 30 bucks. Are there any other sizes and colors that are profitable for me? So on here, I see actually a good amount of these are 40 bucks, which obviously looking at the overall just kind of initial profit right there is an interesting item. So now I need to make sure that these things that I'm looking at are actually going to sell. And And initially what I'm looking at here is I'm seeing a lot of like super flat price lines. Typically what I want to see, and I'm sure I'll find an example if I get further down, is something like this, right? So you see how this has a ton of new offer count changing. So this is basically the graph that shows me, hey, there's 9 sellers on September 19th. And this is saying, hey, on November 9th, there's 12. So the more this line is changing around, the more people are coming into this listing, the more people are selling out on this listing. We want to see a lot of action. That typically means pretty much guarantees that item is selling. If we see stuff like this where the price is super stable, then we have to look into some other details to figure out if it's actually going to sell or not. So we can actually just pop open one of these and I'll show you one of my favorite hacks for figuring out if this is going to sell, which is the data offers tab on Keepa. And this is going to show me the exact stock count and price of this person's store over the entire history of them being on this listing. So for example, I can see the last month right here, they haven't changed their price at all. They've been $39 and their stock has been right at 33 pretty much the entire time. There's a chance that they might have just made a couple sales today, which is interesting, but I'm really not seeing enough action for me to be super interested. If I compare that offers tab to one of these where I know it is going to be selling pretty well, just so you can see an example of what you want to be on the lookout for. Again, on the chart, you can see how many new sellers are selling out. You can see the price changing around a lot. That's showing me lots of action on this listing. And that also shows when you look at the offers tab, right? So much more action going on than that last one. You can see, for example, this person had 7 in stock on November 19th, and then a few days later, they were almost sold out. And that's happening to a lot of sellers on this listing. So this listing is definitely selling. It's just not profitable for us. But with that in mind, now we know how to figure out, is something selling? Is it not selling? I think it looks like a lot of these that are profitable are probably not selling super well. I am interested to check maybe a couple of these that have like a little bit of price movement. We can always check and see if the offers tab is interesting. And just diving into a couple I found here in 30 seconds. There are some that are a little bit more interesting. You see how the stock count's actually decreasing over time on this one. Same kind of story here. You know, some sales going on earlier this month, maybe even a sale that happened just now on this item. So some of these could be worth testing. Personally, I wouldn't buy more than 5 of these just to see if it's actually going to sell for you. Since the profit's pretty solid, I don't hate it, but we can definitely find something that is more profitable together. Not sure how much potential is in the and1 listings on this person's storefront, but it's going to obviously open up the doors to us and show us what we might be able to sell. Let's see. So Stafford and Gap both require invoices, at least while I'm recording this. You could always test it. Some people's Amazon stores are different. So things that might be auto-ungated for you won't be for me and vice versa. So it's always worth testing things. The ones I'm diving into are ones that I know are auto-engaged for pretty much everyone. Why don't we test this coffee together? So let's go ahead and plug in that ASIN. Let's see if this is an auto-engage. We go new. It's going to load for a second. And then, yeah, since that sell this product button pops up, that means this is an auto-ungated brand. Again, another good starting point. Even if this brand isn't profitable, here's another brand that you could go to and start reverse sourcing off of. What do these sell for? Maybe like 25 bucks. We need like a buy one, get one sale or something like that. Okay, so we can get these for $15.37 each, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, our max cost was like 11 bucks or so. So I'm not super interested in this. You can always pop open the listing and see, yeah, I see pretty much all those different flavors and stuff are like 25 bucks. Good rule of thumb is everything you buy on Amazon, you're probably gonna have to spend half or less on it to be profitable. So for example, these $24 bottles, we'd probably have to spend 12, 11 bucks or so, and that's reflected through this max cost here, which by the way, if you're wondering, my max cost includes shipping to Amazon as well as sales tax. So all those extra fees and all that kind of stuff are included. So when I'm looking at profitable stuff, it is actually profitable. It's not just profitable in theory. Let's see. So Lucky Brand, this stuff doesn't really sell super well. It seems like it's 8 sales a month on a lot of that. PGA Tour is a brand that makes you apply. Let's see. Travis Matthew. We can go ahead and test this out. So let's grab the ASIN, go ahead and post this back into Seller Central, condition new. And it looks like, I don't know if I've ever sold this before, but it at least isn't asking me for invoicing. You could test this out on your own and see if it is an auto ungate for you. And let's see. So this particular size is 68 bucks. I see maybe some kind of sale at this other like golf retailer here. So Carl's Golfland. Let's see. So they got a bunch of different styles and that kind of thing. So they do have a bunch of the colors that we're looking for. And some of these are higher priced. So let's do that same trick where we can see what is the most expensive version of this. Okay. So it's the khaki 33 wit are $91. And in the past history here, the cheapest they've been is like 75. We're buying these for 45 on sale. Worst case, it goes back down to 75 bucks and we still make $7. Right now it's 91 bucks and we make 20. So that's pretty solid. Let's see. Do we have the 33s? Nice. Yeah. So 33 khakis are in stock. I like this one probably the most of anything we've looked at so far. See the new offer count changing a lot. Lots of people selling, coming into the listing, selling out, all that good stuff. And I see the price changing a lot, which is another kind of good sign. Let's see the black 40. I'm not seeing much action here. Again, we could check the offers tab here. There is also a rating left on this, which means that someone's left a review, which obviously means that typically a lot more than one person has had to buy it. Typical review rate on Amazon is about 1 in 100. For storefront reviews, it's even less than that. So this could equate to 100 plus sales. It could also just be one random nice guy that bought it. And we don't want to assume assume that just because one review was left on it, that it's going to stay like that. Let's see. So this other one here, the vintage indigo. Yeah, I think that color right there, going for 85, buying for 45, 15 bucks profit. I don't like this one quite as much because it was a little bit cheaper in more recent history than this top one. It's a pretty solid item. This one maybe sells a little bit faster because I can see new offer count consistently decreasing on this. But yeah, it was a fair amount cheaper than that for a while. And it was also like 81 bucks for a while, which I don't know, it's still 12 bucks profit. ROI is like a little bit low. Usually I'm looking for like a 30% ROI or above, especially on close where we might have some returns, but I don't hate that at all. Let's see. So that's why I like looking at the variations tab too, because now all these other sizes and colors, they're cheaper than we even need to be worried about. So I don't even need to check those out, but we're able to find 2 there. Personally, I probably get like 10 of these, the 33s, which would be 200 bucks in profit or so. And then I'd probably test about 5 of these just to test the waters, see if it stays profitable. There's a world where you could buy 10 of those and it goes well, but just conservatively estimating our profit here. Let's see. So we're actually able to find a couple products today, which is great. Let's check this last one out here and see if there's anything profitable. I believe Avia is an auto ungate. I can go ahead and check it. I think I've sold it before, so it's not going to be a great indicator. Yeah, there's nothing that loaded, so I'm not positive that it's an auto ungate, but I'm pretty sure it is. You can always double check and see if it's an auto ungate for your store. And let's see. So these like men's Velcro shoes, is this what we're looking at? Because these would be pretty profitable. Boscov's is definitely a legit retailer, so we're not super worried about getting scammed or anything like that. Got a good history of being nice and profitable. This one also seems pretty great. 7 bucks profit. We could also see if there's any other variations on this listing. So estimated sales look pretty good on this, a lot better than some of the other items we've looked at. I'm seeing the buy box is shifting between different sellers a lot. So that means different people are winning this add to cart button here. Person has 65 feedback, so they're relatively new. This person has a lot of feedback. So it seems like those sales are being shared pretty evenly. And yeah, honestly, a lot of these are at a profitable price point. I think we only have the black ones though. Actually, we have black and white. So wait, we can start by checking just the black ones here. And the way you can do that is just by going into the title here and then say, make it contain black. And now we're going to just see all the options that are that black color there. And actually, this seems pretty promising. A ton of these sizes are buy boxing above that $44 price point where we're interested. You can see, yeah, actually the sorting by the lowest, the cheapest one of all of these is actually the one we started with, which is funny. So the ones I'd be a lot more interested in are something like this. Do they have the extra wide? Sometimes like the weird sizes can be good. I believe that is the EE there. Although I think 4E might be extra wide and wide might be 3E. Let's see. So that's actually 3E is extra. So actually the EE there is extra wide and then triple E is ultra. So they got some weird sizing in stock here. So they just have like super wide ones and then they have like normal ones. So the ones I would be confident about on this are these right here where there's just not any of the special sizing, like this right here. The new offer count is changing a good amount. That one looks good to me. I'd probably pick up some of the 14s based on people selling out recently. I'd also probably pick up some of the 13s here, 11.5, 8.5. This does have a general increasing seller trend. So I'd probably only pick up maybe 5 of each of those just to see how it goes. But those are all profitable sizes there. So that's definitely cool to see. And not to mention there'd be more profit in the white. You get the point though. I'll let you dig for some of those if you want to go the extra mile and use this to inspire some sourcing and obviously source off of this as well. All the other people on this listing who don't have a ton of feedback especially are a great way to continue this sourcing method infinitely. And by the way, just as another point of emphasis, another way you can figure out easy places to start sourcing is by going into Boxem. Boxem is how you track your inventory, make shipments, track profit, feedback analysis, all that kind of stuff. All the back-end tasks that you need to do in your business, kind of save as much time as possible with Boxem. But there's also an AI that you can just ask how to source, where is X item the most profitable today? Or in this case, if you just want to ask it for some auto-ungated examples, it can also suggest other ones that we didn't talk about today. And just as another example, like when you guys are out there sourcing, if you're curious on, hey, how do I find the cheapest 3-pack of these t-shirts? It's able to compare and go the extra mile. It's trained on pretty much everything I know about selling on Amazon, and it's going to give you a lot more information than just like a Google search, right? It knows about the best site-wide codes that certain websites run. It knows when to use discounted gift cards and cashback and all that kind of stuff. Really awesome resource if you're a new Amazon seller, and make sure you grab Boxem down below. But now you're fully prepared to start sourcing some of those products that you can already sell and list on Amazon right now. If you're excited to dig in, make sure you grab those 2-week free trials of SellerAmp and Boxem down below. It's how you actually run your Amazon business. And also let me know if you have any quick questions down below. Always happy to chat with you guys. But I really appreciate you watching this video. And if you want to see the next step of the process, which is sending those items into Amazon and getting them sold ASAP, click this video right here.